For my reflections this week, I would love to share with you one of my favorite saints and some stories surrounding her. Her name is Saint Maria Faustina. She's a powerful intercessor. She was a great mystic, and I think she has some really beautiful insights into the spiritual life that could really benefit us still today. So these insights, these stories, come from her own diary, which you could still read, pick up today. So the first one I want to share with, just for today, is from paragraph 268. So she was praying late at night, doing a holy hour with Jesus in the tabernacle. It was just her in the chapel, and it was just an arduous holy hour. It was very difficult for her to pray. She started to get physical attacks, just a lot of spiritual dryness. But she went through the whole hour, suffered greatly, but decided, what do you do when that happens? You keep going. You don't give up. You don't despair. You double down on that relationship with Christ. And so she resolved to do a second holy hour right in a row. And it proved even more difficult than the first. She could barely form a Hail Mary in her mouth, and it was just difficult. She even felt more pain. So what did the saint do? You guessed it. She did a third holy hour. So 3 hours right in a row, but this time she got down on her knees and she knelt the entire time. She took her arms and she put them out in cruciform and just held them there for as long as she could, uniting herself to Jesus in that suffering, knowing that this dryness, this difficulty in her own prayer life was what the Lord wanted to give her in the moment. And so she embraced herself, she conformed herself to that, and in that joined herself to Christ's suffering. And then finally, with the last 5 minutes of those 3 hours, she took off her wedding ring, which many religious sisters wear. She put it in the palm of her hand, and then she offered it to Jesus in the tabernacle. And she said, Jesus, I'm your spouse. Whatever you want to give me, I'll take. I love you. In that moment, after 3 hours of complete dryness, Jesus appeared to her as if he looked on the day of his crucifixion before he was to die on the cross, completely scourged, just blood, sweat, tears everywhere, eyes inflamed. But he stared at her, and he told her these words. He said, the bride must resemble her betrothed. And then he disappeared. So she knew in that moment that the Lord was inviting her into a deep mystery, a mystery of suffering, and being conformed to Christ crucified, which is the call of all Christians. Some it shows itself in ways bigger than others, like Saint Faustina. But to know that and to not fear that Jesus is with us even in suffering, and it's through that suffering that he triumphs. It makes us great saints and intercessors for the kingdom of heaven on earth.